Right, so now we will learn about transitions. I've made a tiny template so we can start with this and not to lose any time in building a simple template. So we still have a lot of things to learn, so we're going to do a lot of coding in this section, and it's going to look weird at the beginning. So first you will need to download this template, this project. I'm going to be adding this project as a download source inside the course, inside this section. So download it, put it on a folder, and then of course you need to go to the terminal, navigate, and do npm start. Okay, you just download that and do that. So first, let me show you what we get on this template. We have three different routes: one transitions, CSS transitions, and transitions group. If I go to transitions, which is this one, we're not getting anything, just a div with the text. Same thing with CSS transitions, and inside transitions group, we have kind of a function that it's going to be adding an element with a random number every time we add elements. That's it. And if, of course, I add more, I get more random numbers. And if I do remove, it's going to be removing. Real simple. Now, the main point of this is going to be to animate each enter on each div. That's the idea. So first, we will need to start with transitions. It's going to be the hardest one. It's going to be the hardest one to do. So we're going to start with that one, because if we know how to do transition, we will know how to do all the other ones. Okay, so first, the first thing we need to do is to add a div and then a button that is going to be adding a div right here. So okay, I'm going to go to transitions, and inside here I'm going to delete transitions, and inside I'm going to create a new div just like that, and I'm going to be adding some style. Real simple. Open and close, and then open and close. I'm going to add a background so we can see it, background, and it's going to be red, just like that. Oh, red. And then of course I'm going to add a height, just like that, height, and it's going to be, I don't know, 100 pixels. Sounds right. Okay, that's fine. And for now, there's not going to be anything inside. At least we get the red div. That's what we want to do. So to show or hide this element, we're going to need the state that is going to be deciding if we want to show this or not. So I'm going to go right here at the top, and I'm going to say state is going to be equal to, and of course we add a state, and the state is going to be show. Makes sense. And first it's going to be a boolean, and it's going to be true. Good. So now to use the state to show this div or not, what we could do, we can wrap everything in curly braces, and we can use a ternary operator to do this. So it's going to be this, that state, that show, just something like that. And if state is true, this is going to be rendered, and if not, of course, we will return null. Something like that. Makes sense. Okay, so of course we have true is going to be showing this, but if we change it to false, it's not going to show it. Okay, that's good. So now let's keep moving forward. The next thing that we will need to get is going to be a button that it's going to be displaying this. So I'm going to go right here at the bottom, and let me go right here at the top. First, I'm going to create the function that is going to be toggling this state. So if we click a button, it's going to change the state to false or to true, and this is going to be rendered or not. Makes sense. So I'm going to create mine. It's going to be show div. You can call your function whatever you want, doesn't matter. And then of course I'm going to open and close. So whenever I click it, I invoke this function. I'm going to be changing the state. So it's going to be set state. So just something like that, real simple. And inside, of course, we want to change the state of show. And of course, if we click it and the state is false, we want to change it to true. And if it's true, we want to change it to false. So what we do again is going to be a ternary operator. We're going to use ternary a lot. So it's going to be, if not, the state that show, we want to true. And if not, of course, we want false. Good. Oh, there we go. So now we need to add the button, the div that is going to be the button for this. So I'm going to go right here at the bottom, and I'm going to say div, just a div, and this div is going to say show or hide, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to say class name. I'm going to add a class name of show div, something like that. And okay, I'm going to add a non-click, just like we did before, with the events, same idea. And this one is going to be this that show div, something like that. We're going to invoke that function. So it's going to be show div. Okay. So we don't have this class, but inside the app CSS is going to be right here. I've added that just previously. Okay, so if I save it and go to the project, we have the button show or hide. And if I click it, it's going to be showing the red div. And if I click it, it's going to hide it. It's just change the states. And when the application re-renders, it's going to be displaying the div or not. So it's working. That's good. So now what we want to do, we want to add a nice transition to this, maybe a slide or a fade or whatever. So first we're going to need to install a dependency for this. It's going to be called React Transitions or React Transitions group. So I'm going to do Control C to clear the terminal. And I'm going to be installing this. So it's going to be npm install and then react dash transition. Let me make this bigger. Just like that. All right, React Transitions and then group. And of course, don't forget to do the minus save. Okay, I'm gonna install it and I'm gonna pause and be right back. Okay, so everything is installed. So since we installed a component, a dependency, what we need to do is we need to invoke that dependency. So first we're gonna say import, and then this import is gonna look a little bit weird, you know, it's gonna be a little bit long. So we're gonna say import, and then it's gonna be transition, just like that, and it's gonna be from, and then it's gonna be a little bit long. It's gonna be React transition dash group, just like that, and then / and then transition. I know. You should have a snippet for this. Okay, that's good. Since we are importing transition right here, what we need to do, we need to use it inside the return. So I'm going to delete all of this. We are not going to use it. And of course, I'm going to say transition just like that. And then I'm going to create a tag. We need to wrap everything inside the transition tag. Now this transition is going to be using two main props. The first one is going to be called n, just like that. And the second one is going to be called timeout, equal to something. So the n is going to be kind of the state of this transition component. Since we have a state right here that it's deciding if we want to show or hide, I'm going to change it to true. What we could do, we can use this state. So this one could be true, could be false, could be whatever. Since we have it on the state, I'm going to say this, that state, that show. Okay. So since this transition is going to be, of course, a transition, we need a timeout. We need to decide how long the transition is going to take. So I'm going to say 2 seconds, you know, so we can see the difference. Okay, so we have the state of this element, this transition, and the timeout. So I'm going to go right here, and if I do something like that, it's maybe a p tag that is going to say hello, just like that. I'm going to reload. And of course, we get this hello. But this one with transition, it's not going to work. This transition, what it will return is going to be a function. So I'm going to wrap everything inside curly braces. And this function that transition is going to return is going to have a state, and that this is really important for us. Now, after we get the state, it's going to return whatever element we want to return. In this case, it's going to be a p tag. If I go right here, we are still getting hello. So, it's still working. Now, the funny thing is the state. Why do we get the state right here? I'm going to just output whatever information we get on the state, just like that. I'm just printing this state. And I go right here, and we get entered. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me go right here, and there we go. So we get entered. Let me reload the application. We get entered. Okay, so I'm going to click. It's going to say exiting and then exit. And if I click again, it's going to be showing the div again in theory. And it's going to say entering and then entered. So what is happening right here? So what we get with transition and with this module with React Transitions group, it's not the animation itself. We're going to get a state so we can do the animations with CSS or with whatever you want. So in this case, we get the state of what is happening with this div or what should happen with this div. So we have enter. Let me click again. It's going to say exiting and then exit. So exiting is going to be whenever the div is doing the transition. And whenever it's done, it's going to be after 2 seconds, we get a different class, which is going to be exit, different state. And if I click again, you know, the state of this is going to be exit. The div, it's not there anymore. It's not visible. I click show, is going to be doing the animation and then the animation complete. Since we are getting this state, what we can do, we can create 4 or maybe 2 different CSS classes, and you know, just give it a class or with opacity or with whatever we want with the animation. So okay, that's good. You know, I'm gonna do it right now. I know that it's kind of confusing. It's not gonna make sense, but right now I'm gonna show you a practical example with a div, and it's gonna make sense. So I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna delete the p tag. And instead of returning a p, I'm going to return a div. So I'm going to say div, open and close. Really simple. I'm going to add a style right here. I'm going to add an inline style so we can see what's going on with this. I'm going to open and close and then open and close. You remember that for inline styling, we need 2 curly braces. I'm going to go right here at the bottom. And first, I'm going to be adding the same background with it before, the red. Then the comma, I'm going to add height. And the height is going to be 100 pixels. Then a comma, and this one is kind of important. I'm going to say transition, and we're going to add the ease for all. All is going to be 2 seconds because we have the timeout. And this is kind of important. If you're using CSS for the transitions, if you put 2 seconds, this one needs to match with whatever timeout you have right here. If they are different, you know, you're going to have a tiny problem. It's going to still do the animation, but they're not going to be synchronized. Okay, so we're going to be animating whatever we want. Okay, so I'm going to say comma, and what I'm going to be animating, it's going to be the opacity, something simple. It's going to be state, and okay, let me start again. I'm going to say opacity. What I want to do, I want to hide whenever we get a state of exit or exiting. So the opacity is going to be equal to 0 if we have the state exiting or exit. And if we have entering or entered, we want to change it to 1. So again, we're going to be using ternary. And it's going to be state triple equal to exited. Good. And then I'm going to be adding the or. Oh, sorry. I'm going to be adding the or. Oh, let me 1 second. I just changed the keywords. So it's going to be, let me see if I can figure out. Because it changed the keywords, and right here I have British because I have a British keyword, and you know, it's kind of confusing. Let me pause the video and find the or. All right, sorry for that, I got it. So it's going to be or, and of course we're going to do the same thing. It's going to be state and triple equals to the other state, which is going to be exiting. So exiting. Very good. So of course, if we get this 2 states, it's going to be equal to 0, and if not, it's going to be equal to 1. It's going to be showing the div. So whenever the application starts, of course, it's going to be showing to true. So this one is going to have the class of entered, the state of entered. And you know, just let me put the state right here. All right. So it's going to reload, and you know, when the application starts, there is no transition, but we get the state of this div, which is going to be entered. The div already entered. So if I click hide or show, it's going to do exiting, the animation stops, and the element is not there anymore. And if I click, it's going to change the state to entering, and when it's done, it's going to change it to entered. Good, you know, so this is how we use transitions group. We are not going to do the animation. The transitions group is going to just give you a state or a class, something like that. So you can do the animation using CSS. That's how the React Transitions group works. Of course, we can do a lot of things with this, not just this. And you know, this writing all of this to do a simple animation, it's a real pain in the ass. I know what you're thinking. So we're going to be doing all the things, and this is one is going to get a little bit simpler. So with this transitions, and pretty much with all the other ones, you're going to get 2 different choices. You're going to get options, of course. And one of the options is going to be mount on enter. Oh, let me delete it right now and let me show you. So when the application starts, we get the div. So if I hide everything, so the state of this is going to be non-visible. But if you take a look right here, we have a big space. So the div, it's hidden, but of course, it's occupying space right here. The div, it's inside the DOM. Okay. So if I do this, just like that, let me add the mount on enter. There we go. And of course, we have a different options, which is going to be the opposite of mount on enter, which is going to be unmount on exit. Okay, so we have the mount on enter. If I click show or hide, it's going to be hiding this. And when it's exiting, it's going to be done, but the div, it's not there anymore. So if we have unmount on exit, transition is going to know, because it knows that the div, it's not there anymore. It's exited. So it's going to be grabbing that element from the DOM and just remove the element from the DOM. And if we click it, it's going to be mounting again. Okay, that's it. It's not that hard, but you need to do a lot of coding just to get a simple thing. But it's going to get a little bit better. Okay, let's go to the next section and see the other one.